This is a continuation of the live we had before, early on during the day. The live was about the presentation or representation of Black women in movies, right? And movies, TV, streaming series, TV shows, all these different things where we have gorgeous, gorgeous Black women who are uglified so that they don't pull focus away from their white co actresses, screen, presences, and all these sorts of things. Now, we had interesting conversation before, but now the focus will be on leading lady, right? Why is it the films that are mainstream, not black movies, we're not talking black movies now, the films that are mainstream, we don't get to have a black leading lady as the female focus of the film? It's constantly, more often than not, the case that black women in Hollywood are either the sassy black friend or they're a joke.
I think this is going to be great, Angie. I think you and me are going to make a great team.
Oh, you looking for a sassy black friend?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Well, you got one now, girlfriend. Go on.
There was more than one bride at this wedding. Gabby Sidibe thought it'd be funny to show up wearing a wedding gown. And once everybody had a big laugh, then she changed into her real wedding dress.
Who does that?
Well, there are
This is how our women are represented in those media. Okay? This is how they're represented. Meanwhile, I mean, even the toughest of white and Hispanic women get to be feminine. They get to be sexy. Look at this fight scene here in The Fast and the Furious 7, I think. As you saw in that video, even the Muslim or Sikh, I don't know which one they were, even the Muslim or Sikh women, everyone except black women, every kind of woman gets to be feminine while kicking ass, except the black women. Every woman gets to be the leading woman or the leading lady or the object of affection of everyone on screen except the black woman. Here's a scene from King Solomon's Mine.
Thank you. Why are they bringing me all these things? Why are they making such a buzz? Maybe they've never seen a white woman before. What's going on?
Maybe they think you're their queen or priestess or something. Or maybe just the most beautiful woman they've ever seen.
This is what they've presented. And keep in mind that young white girls grew up watching this stuff. They grew up in front of the TV watching King Solomon's Mine. Now these white women, formerly white girls, they're white women. Okay? This is why they strut around thinking that every man wants them, etc., etc., etc. What did black women have coming up? They had Grace Jones, right? As what was it? The older women we have now, the older black women we have now. What did they grow up watching themselves as? You guys remember Conan the Destroyer, Conan, right? They grew up watching that stuff. I'll get back to that in a minute. I'll get back to that in a minute. But what I want you to see is the Dora Milaje, the show that we had before now, about two streams ago. We showed this, but I think it bears showing again how masculine they portray women. Who wants this as a mate? And that's how they're portrayed. Now the thing is, they always have these studios always have a PR department that's connected to their social media platforms, right? Their social media accounts. And those platforms and accounts, they have people of color, most likely black people, who are there in order to attack anyone who brings up this sort of mess. You understand? They attack anyone who brings up this mess where we have this going on. And if anyone like myself, we voice 1 ounce, 1 ounce of dissent, we get attacked. Oh, you can't handle a strong black woman? Who wants to handle someone they're with? You don't want to handle someone you're with. You can't handle a strong, independent black woman. No, no, I can't, and I won't. I can't, and I won't. I'm not here to compete with you. You're not here to compete with me. If you're my mate, then you're supposed to stay in your feminine and I stay in my masculine. That's if we're both straight cisgendered. If you're trans, let me know, right? If you feel that you want to be a guy, let me know and we can break up because I'm not, into trans people. I'm a cisgendered straight man. So we can part ways amicably on friendly terms. But if you love me and I love you and we're straight cisgendered people, I'm male, you're female, stay in your feminine. I will stay in my masculine. Okay? What they conditioned young girls, some young girls, not all of them, what they conditioned some young black girls in the past, right? Let's say 70s, 80s, 90s to be was combative with men, right? And she goes, "Take him." She's like, "What? Really? Take him?" "Yes, take him." You reach out, grab him, take him. She's Jamaican, by the way. Now, this is no shade towards Grace Jones, no shade towards all right? Those two were really good friends and they were bugging out in between takes. They were awesome. You know what I mean? Just hanging out, bugging out between takes or whatever. And she even dated Dolph Lundgren. People don't know this, but Grace Jones was a supermodel. Dolph Lundgren at some point was a supermodel, and supermodels will date each other. You date in your industry sometimes. You keep the same hours, you go to the same functions. So models were doing what models do, and these two were doing what models do. Right? They were dating each other for a long time. So it's no shade towards any one of these people. It's the imagery that I'm talking about. With the imagery as such as it is, you had the alpha white male in the mainstream movie. It's not a white movie. Here's where we come to an impasse here because we had a guest in the part one of this stream. We had a guest, I forgot what his name was, but he brought up that, okay, Black Panther is not a black film. Black Panther is a sci-fi film. Well, that's your argument, sir. That's your argument, and I respect it. I wish you were right, but you're not. You're not. Because when you look up the genres for Black Panther, there is sci-fi there, but there's also, what do you call it? Afrofuturism, which is what the genre, the subgenre that Black Panther falls into is Afrofuturism. Okay, so it's a subgenre. It's not classic sci-fi. It's not standard mainstream sci-fi. So when you have standard mainstream genres like fantasy, like sword and sorcery fantasy, which is what Conan is, a black male is not allowed to be the male lead, and certainly a black female is not allowed to be the love interest, as you see here with Arnold Schwarzenegger and the female lead, who is the princess. No. You know what black women's role was in that film? Grace Jones. That's who it was. Now, the thing is with Grace Jones, that skin is gorgeous. If you see the movie again, before that, when you saw the movie, the way they painted her narratively in the film, it was like but she's really quite pretty. I can see why she was a supermodel. She really is quite pretty. It's just they made her the narrative way. They look at the flat top. They couldn't give her thin dreadlocks to make like the to make the locks cascade over her face. They couldn't do that, really. So they gave her a manly haircut, what boxers would have. You know what I mean? That's a boxer right there. She even has a hand wrap. You know what I mean? To kind of recall, like, hey, this is a fighter, this is a boxer. What I had discussed before in part one was the fact that many detractors who are sent by the dominant society to attack me and other dissenters will say that, well, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and many cultures, beauty standards mean something different. I get it, I get it. But why is it whenever white people in the mainstream society represent their culture on stream, right? They represent their culture on screen, they glorify and beautify it according to our standard here, our pop culture standard. When they represent their culture on screen, they glamorize it like this. Okay? But when it's time to represent our culture on screen, when it's time to represent ours, they would like us to stay true to the foreign culture that is not accepted by the mainstream. They want us to be represented by shaved heads, grunting women, masculine energy. That's how they want our women to be represented. Ah, well, what are you against the culture? Because there are many women in Africa with that same. Yeah, 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 we get it, we get it, we get it. And enough respect to them. I respect the Dahomey on the left. The Dahomey were warrior women. They were fierce. They could kick my ass. I respect the living daylights out of them. I get it. I get it. For that matter, the Amazons would kick my ass as well. I respect them too. I get it. They were a warrior culture. But what I'm saying is, when it comes time for the mainstream, what we have over the course of decades, probably even a century, what we have cultivated as a pop culture of what is pretty, what is gorgeous, what is beautiful, what is out of this world, that idea, that image is very specific. Is very specific. And the bracket it falls under is ever narrowing. It's not very broad, it's ever narrowing. Okay? So you guys in the dominant mainstream society get this, what is acceptable by mainstream. But you'd probably, if we let you get away with it, you would represent our women like this. Okay? Now, again, nothing wrong with that tribe and their culture, but why are you using us for culture shock? When it's time to represent your culture, you make it conform to modern mainstream standards and modern mainstream tastes according to pop culture. But when it comes to represent our culture, you'd probably want us to do this. Basically shock the viewer. Shock the viewer. Now, what I'd like to do is basically go through some of the reasons why I think that the dominant society keeps doing this. It's not a very long list, so I won't keep you very long, but they're very important. They're quite important. One of the reasons is human beings, we live on images, we thrive on it. In fact, it's it's arguable that we don't live on words so much as we live on images. Someone paints you a nice painting, right, or draws you a nice design. You like it more than them writing you a beautiful paragraph, right or wrong, right? Someone gives you a nice photo, you appreciate it way more than, handing you a poem. Well, it depends on what your taste is, obviously. But it's living in the mind of the viewer or the audience. That's what's important. And so our women, they get to be raised in front of the television, which I don't advise, but what are you going to do if you're a single parent and you're not really at home that often, and your kid, your daughter, is old enough to not burn the house down, but young enough to be shaped, for her mind to be shaped by what she sees on TV. She's going to be sitting down in front of the TV, right? And what you will be watching are shows like Clueless, or not anymore. I think they're actually going to reboot Clueless, but they're going to be watching shows similar to this, where the main character is a white female. She gets to be the dominant one in society, and the black friend gets to be the black best friend, the sassy black best friend. In fact, you guys remember the TV show? I'm sure some of you saw it growing up, called Friends, right? And Friends, they lived in New York. Lord knows how they lived in New York and only met about 5 or 10 black people ever. In like maybe 12 years, they only ran into 5 or 6 black people. And one of those black people happens to be a black chef. When Monica was doing her catering thing, and the sassy black chef, she was like, "You gotta feel the thing." She's like, "But I don't feel the thing," because Monica was confiding in her and asking her, "Hey, I'm dating a guy, but I don't feel it in my gut. I don't feel the thing." And she goes, "Honey, you always gotta feel the thing." So basically, she's not that woman, right? I think her name's Jennifer Lewis or something like that. And she's even for an older woman, she looks good. But the way they painted her narratively and by makeup and all these sorts of things on the show, she was not supposed to pull focus from Monica. Monica's the hot one. She's white. But the black woman there, who's the chef, fellow chef, she was supposed to be the magical Negro. That brings us to the next topic. Magical Negro. The magical Negro, the second reason why they do it. The first reason is because images live in our minds, and if we have a gorgeous black woman in our minds, the black girl who has the gorgeous black woman in her mind will have that as an aspiration. This is who I am. This is who I will be. Right. And if the black boy who sees this in her mind is like, wow, this is who I will fight for. I will strive for. I will have children with a family I will die for. Right. They don't want that kind of imagery in the minds of our children. Now, the second reason is all right, where was I? The second reason, doing all this on the fly, the top of the head, is really, really daunting, and you got to stay on your toes. Maybe I'll just move on to reason three. A cohesive society, once you have people who believe in themselves, they can operate better as an individual down to a man or a woman and as a cohesive unit, whether that's a family, a football team, a platoon, anything like that. Right? So it begins with the individual, down to a man, down to a woman. They have to believe in themselves. If they don't believe in themselves, they can't be part of a team. They'll be the weakest chink or link of the chain, right? And they will be the chink in the armor. So what they do is make sure that the narrative is out there. The boys want to be Batman, Superman, the Shadow, Doc Savage, right? They want to be Bruce Willis, okay? The women, those who aren't affected by feminism, not affected, but those who haven't bought into feminism. Nothing wrong with feminism. I don't want no smoke feminists. Those who aren't into girl empowerment, like I want to shoot the gun too. They want to be Princess Leia, Princess Amidala, all these different Disney princesses. Snow White, the Belle, from the Beauty and the Beast, right? And so What do you have if you're black? Boy, I would hope you have Blade, but they kind of gotten rid of Blade and they're going to make Mahershala Ali Blade. Now, the thing is, I think one or two characters that Mahershala Ali has portrayed in the last 5 or 6 years have been LGBTQIA. Now, the thing is, I think you guys know what I feel about stacking minorities. Exceedingly so, they're having black people in these shows and they're stacking minorities on top of black. So black is not enough. Straight black males are not enough. You have to be straight. No, no, you have to be black, you have to be gay, you have to be handicapped, you have to be an immigrant, and you have to be, all these different things, all these different minorities in one. They can't just let you have black, right? So Miles Morales isn't just black. Miles Morales is black and Hispanic, right? So they squeeze two minorities for the price of one. And he's bisexual. And some of the canon in the comics, he's bisexual. So now he's black, uh, Hispanic, and bisexual. Now the thing is, if they bring in that he's autistic or he has some sort of attention deficit disorder, then he'll be black, Hispanic, bisexual, and disabled, right? So they keep stacking. Whenever it's us, they keep stacking these minorities, these minority identities, right? So in the Eternals movie, they just did that. The black guy in there is not just black. He's an immigrant because he's an alien and he's gay, right? So they keep stacking us. Anyhow, I think for this particular stream. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. If you're on any social media platform, I need you to hit that bell, right? Actually, I need you to share the link to this video, share a link to this page, right? And then come back with a friend or two or 10. Also, be aware that we have a project going called FarQuest. It's kind of like a black Star Trek. Here are some character designs. Here's some art for it. The Cash App, if you hit it, you will be directly funding this project. Here's the team in black and white. It was in black and white until someone hit the Cash App, and I used the money from the Cash App to pay the colorist. And then now, here's the colored piece. All right. So that's a project we've got going. It's kind of like a black Star Trek. I will actually have a proper trailer for it very soon. Very soon. Right now, I'm focused on doing the art for it, doing the writing and the art for it, and growing this channel, as well as doing commissions for clients, which comes first, by the way. All right. So like, comment, subscribe, like I said, hit that bell for notifications. If you're on any social media platform, go ahead, share a link to this video, share a link to this platform. Let us grow. We're currently at 100 subs. We need to be at 200 or 300 subs. Help me do that. And you can watch some more videos of this channel right now.